I'll go to Drew first. Drew, what did you think about the first time you saw a sport with a wiffle ball and an oversized ping pong paddle?
Look, any way to compete is good with me. I mean, it kind of reminded me of like playing stickball in the yard or something when you were a kid, right? Just find whatever you can to get together with your friends and knock it around and be creative. But I love it. I love everything about it. I mean, it gets the competitive juices flowing. It's obviously a very social sport, but every time I play, I walk away actually getting a pretty good workout. I probably expend my energy a bit more than I really should. I've been beat by my fair share of like 75-year-olds, right? Which isn't great for the ego, but it just keeps you coming back.
What's worse, getting beat by like a 75-year-old in pickleball or a guy like Haloti Nada coming right up the middle and sacking you?
I'd rather not get hit by that guy.
Fair answer. And I kind of thought
it'd be more than his ego bruised if Haloti got to him.
That's fair. Yeah. I kind of knew that when it comes to competition, you three guys are super competitive. So that would be the answer. If there's anything that there's a game, there's an opponent, and there's some sort of competitive juices that could be flowing, that's what kind of would gravitate you guys towards that. Larry, is that the overall sentiment in the athletic space when we're talking about other sports? Because I really think a thing pickleball needs to succeed is create great relationships with the other big existing sports, the athletes that you talk to around the country, around the world. Is this sport picking up in that environment?
Absolutely. I mean, every time I talk to a guy, I mean, I just ran into Golden Tate, a week and a half ago, and he was talking about it, and like it just seems like it's the conversation of pickleball comes up more frequently in conversations that I have, amongst athletes. I think what's great about it is it's pretty easy to learn in terms of understanding the rules. And even if you haven't played a racket sport, if you just have a little bit of, athleticism, to be able to make contact with it, with a little bit of practice, you can start playing and having a good time. And it's very easy to communicate with your partners. It's very, it's inviting in terms of, talking trash and, building relationships and, just the way the game is structured. It's really easy to pick it up and enjoy it with anybody.
I love that point because I always tell people about the story of my parents moved down to Florida. If I handed my mom a basketball and there was a wide open basketball hoop and I said, make a layup, she's probably not going to make it. Like we could stand there for hours. Like she's going to struggle. But I hand her this oversized ping pong paddle and I walk her to her pickleball court and we're just dinking back and forth. I'm handing the paddle to my dad. They're dinking back and forth. Whatever you want to say about, pickleball being a fad, this or that, you see something like that. And that's the stuff that makes me think that it's here forever, that it is for everyone. Anyone can join. But there is then that next mountain you have to climb if you want to get to be the level of the players on your guys' team as well. So there is still that allure that you two had, right? Like not everyone can play at the levels you played at. So that's what made people idolize you guys. This sport you could still play and at the same time have those idols, which that combination in itself is so unique and captures it perfectly. And Gary, competition. I'm sitting in a room with Larry and Drew Brees, and you may be the most competitive person here. I'm not going to say that outright, but I will say you are super competitive. I know Drew talked about it when the initial question of what made him fall in love with this sport first. Let's get into the specifics of the sport itself that really drives home that almost addictive quality to people that like competition, such as yourself.
Gary, before you get into that question, I've seen your game, and you can't beat Drew or I. I just wanted to just get that out. I just wanted to just get that out there before you answer.
Let him pick a partner. Let him pick a partner.
Larry, it sounds like you watched clips of me playing 5 years ago for the first time ever with Andre Agassi and Andy Roddick. So, just like you two Hall of Fame legends realize film work matters, I immediately respect you for doing the film work. The problem is the film's old. Much better shape at 47. Unlike you gentlemen, I only got serious about being in shape in my late 30s. Unlike you gentlemen, I realized somewhere around 4th or 5th grade. It's ironic. Paddle sports is definitely a place where I have very good hand-eye coordination. I'm going to brag here a little bit. My son dropped 25 out of the 31 points in basketball in his game last night. And I was like, man, he's just about the age where size, speed, and athleticism are about to take over. And so I want him to enjoy this because my brother AJ as well, we have very strong hand-eye coordination. And paddle sports, tennis, ping pong have always been strong for me. And so pickle is like a natural place to go. But like unlike these two Hall of Famers, a lot of us somewhere around 4th, 3rd, 5th, 6th grade are like, oh, the dream starts to, especially if there's some people just not coordinated, not competitive. But there's a group of kids like me who like had the hand-eye, who were good. Like I started the all-star game in 3rd grade as the pitcher. But then unfortunately things start to take over that these two were gifted with and put in the work, which I think is always what drives me crazy when people talk about athletes. Both of these guys know guys that they grew up with who were more gifted, had more natural size, but didn't put in the work to get to the level that they got into. But for someone like me, that 4th, 5th, 6th grade was when I realized I was more likely to own a team than play for one. But you're right. I mean, like, the biggest fight I ever got into with my brother in my life was categories, and the other places when we play one-on-one basketball. Like, I'm very competitive. A lot of entrepreneurs found business to be their outlet for the things that we grew up wanting to do, like these two men. And like owning teams, I have an esports team, a pickleball team. This is all practice for me until I own the New York Jets. So I get very, very competitive. But the sport itself, I think you nailed it. I think what's fun is that, back to real athletes, I had a match last year where me and my partner beat Draymond Green and his partner 15-0, right? Wow. There aren't a lot of sports I'm going to be able to have a 15-0.
You didn't mention that on his podcast, Barry. You didn't mention that one.
No, but I got the clip. I got the social clip. Look, I think it's I think about golf a lot when I think about pickleball, not to the same extreme where that game can create, and obviously Tiger elevated and changed the sport, but a game of skill that people admire that, look, similar to baseball, though, that game's about to adjust with the way they've done with base stealing and things. I think you're going to see more athletic, DNA come into baseball with some of the rule changes. Look, there's been golfers who look like your uncle drinking beers every weekend who've been at the top of the sport. I don't think we're going to see that extreme with pickleball, but there is an in-between from the NBA and the NFL and golf, this kind of middle place that I think pickleball is going to create. That, to your point, brother, when you see your mom and dad be able to get in the mix, one of the things that I think gives this longevity is the sport was designed to mitigate some of the advantages that some people are born with. And there's a lot of strategy and skill to it. So I wouldn't call it chess. I wouldn't call it golf, but I would say, or spades, the card game, or things of that nature. There are these certain games that can get very competitive. And pickleball, for me, hits this middle where you don't have to be a super athlete like these two people. You're going to have to be more athletic than, let's say, spades. But there's a nice in between, and I think it has a chance to really hit a real accord with a lot of human beings. And let's call a spade a spade. The four of us are sitting here and talking because it's already happened. I love when people, like you said earlier, when people are like, Gary, do you think pickleball is a fad? I'm like, everything has to evolve and be interesting. But few things I've seen in the last 30 years, and I pay a lot of attention to this, capture at the level of speed that are something that is humanly true. People want to be outside. People want to be in shape. People want to be active. People want to be competitive. Larry, I think, said, or Drew, like, people want to be social or trash talk. Like, it's very clear that this has the ingredients. And, when I don't know these two men very well yet, but I know a whole lot about them and watch them in college and the pros. And I pay so close attention. We have joint friends and acquaintances. I think what makes these two gentlemen interested in this is the same thing with me. I think they have natural entrepreneurial DNA and kind of people skills that made them such incredible leaders. I think we all intuitively feel like a lot of people are going to continue to fall in love with this. And I think that's why we're all here.
No, I would agree with all that. And there's so many levels to where this is going and what things we can talk about. I wanted to ask Drew and Larry this question, though. I'm 29 years old, so I grew up literally, you guys, in the prime of like my sports fandom career. So I was playing in the backyard. We were pretending we were Drew. We were pretending we were Larry. But now I feel like that script has kind of flipped a little bit for you guys within this sport, because I know you guys play it. I'll start with you, Larry, and then we can go to Drew. is there any pickleball pro player that you've either gotten the chance to get acquainted with or even just watch that you feel your pickleball game aligns with, or even their mentality just fits with your mentality in your first sport, which was obviously NFL?
For me, I would say like Jay DeVilliers is my guy. He's swaggy. He's real chill, great personality. And like he just meshes with people very easily. I would say, Drew might disagree. I say I get along with people pretty easily.
I absolutely agree.
He's big.
Absolutely.
He's big, real athletic. He can hit the winners. He's that kind of similar to my game. Drew's more of a plotter. He's trying to hit his spots. He's just not as athletic. You know what I mean? And so he's got a little different game.
How about you, Drew? Give us a little breakdown of Larry's game if you could.
What's that?
Give us a little breakdown of Larry's game if you've seen any of it, or any other pros that you feel your game would suit up with.
We had a chance. We had a chance in Mesa, right in Larry's backyard to do just kind of a little promotional deal. It was kind of a media little event just to hype up the start of the Mesa tournament. And they only let us play 6 points, but I was up 5-1 at the end of those 6 points, and then they shut it down. I don't know if they shut it down or if Larry shut it down. he had enough. But bottom line is it got shut down, and I know Larry is not happy about that. And so anytime, anywhere, we can go ahead and finish that one out. I'm happy to. But he's right. If you were putting the two athletic scores next to each other, Larry versus me, Larry might get the edge a little bit. Size, wingspan, athleticism, all these things. But he knows who he's dealing with. He knows who he's dealing with here. Does he want me to play left-handed or right-handed?
Oh, okay. We're going that way.
I can do either, right? No, you know what? I would say, like, just thinking about the pros and the personalities that we have in the sport. I think that's another thing I was thinking as Gary was talking was very few sports too. Can you, like, I'll just turn on my Instagram feed and I watch so many pickleball highlights. It keeps feeding me these I literally can watch any pickleball highlight. I may not know who's out there playing, but it's entertaining.
Oh,
yeah.
And you're going to see moments within every point where, oh, that point's over. Oh, no, it's not, right? There's some miraculous shot, some miraculous save. All of a sudden, somebody's on the defense, and now they're back on the offense, and it's just there's so much.
And
it's
by
so
the way,
dynamic.
I'm sorry to jump in, Drew. There's one thing that you just said, like another bet of why I think this is going to work is the NHL. I'm looking at Madison Square Garden right now. Like when people go to a hockey game live, they're like, wait a minute, right? On the flip side, these two legends, the NFL, let there be no confusion. The NFL is a much better TV sport than it is a radio sport. And as America became more of a television viewing culture, that Colts Giants championship game changed, the trajectory of the National Football League, right? That was before the merger. And so why I'm so excited is Drew's point, and then me thinking about Mesa and then later Daytona, the amount of people that from my world went to those events and came back and are like, whoa, I'm completely sold, similar to an NHL game. On the flip side, the amount of people that are watching clips on YouTube Shorts and Instagram, and that's a gateway. So now you have a sport that potentially has incredible in-person dynamics and incredible TV dynamics. MSG has been running pickleball and rating in a way that it shouldn't be with how nascent the sport is and what time slots it's been running. And I've been looking at the Nielsen ratings. I mean, I think there's really the elements on the two things that matter, right? And I think the NBA benefits from this currently, which is strong TV, strong in person. Yeah. I think pickleball has those elements, and that gives it a lot of upside as a sport.
Yeah. The comment that you made with the NBA is so right, with how the NBA obviously was doing well, but went to another level with social media and the highlight clips that people were able to make. Pickleball, like we're saying, half the pickleball accounts are pickleball highlight accounts because it's so aesthetically pleasing. Just to whenever and wherever you find yourself scrolling through Instagram, you're just stopping at every one, and it's, whoa, I didn't see that. Whoa, I've never seen that.
I also think the early DNA of the MLP wants the players' personalities to shine. And now you're getting the WWE, UFC dynamics, right? I think, even think about tennis, people still reference John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors. And, I think the fiery nature that Tiger and others have brought this new generation, the Baker's Bay golf crew, it's just very clear the ingredients for this sport are in place.
No, I
Not
agree.
Handsome owners.
Yeah, definitely. I'm getting the note that we got to head over to the Insta, so I don't want to be late for that. But I want to leave you with a question, Gary, that you can answer, but then defend when we go over to the IG Live. Larry and Kurt Warner versus Drew and Jimmy Graham in an MLP-style pickleball battle. Who wins that one? Save your answer, and we'll get into that when we cross over.
Cheers. See you in a second.
All right.